And we are live. Hello, 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 everybody. And welcome to a very, very special Science of the Times live stream, our first of the year. I'm very excited to be here with you. And I am not alone today. I am joined by our wonderful assistant editor. Her face is very familiar to all of you probably by this point, Zanita. Hello, Zanita.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
And we also have another face, a face that might be unfamiliar to most of our readers, viewers, listeners, wherever you find yourself engaging with science content, but somebody whose work you no doubt have been influenced by or seen many, many times in the past. It's Talia Valderrama, our wonderful graphic designer. Hello, Talia.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
This is Talia's very, very first time on a live stream like this with the science team, but Talia has been working busily behind the scenes for us here at Science for many years now. You have been here longer than I have. And you have worked on Science Magazine, you've worked on Record, you've worked on a bunch of different things all around Adventist media. And I feel very privileged and I feel very accomplished that I've convinced you to sit down in front of a camera live with us today. So thank you very much.
The pleasure is mine. Yes.
I must say I am also very excited. I've wanted to have you on our podcast for a while, Talia. And this is the perfect excuse to show off your talent and yet your sense of fun that you bring to the workspace. So it is awesome to have you on.
Oh, thanks, guys.
go and have
Talia is a very, very fun person to work with. She's incredibly creative. She's always got something to say. She's always got something to contribute. And life is never boring here at the office when Talia is around. So I know that's going to come through on the live stream today. But we're not here to talk about your amazing personality, Talia. We're here to talk about something that we as a team have been working on for quite some time. Well, I think almost since the time I joined Adventist Media, since I joined the team here at Signs, we have had the same sort of look and feel in the magazine, in our social media presence since 2018. Our design has, that's when our design was refreshed, and it has been a little while since we've looked at it, but we are very excited to be able to share the new design with you for 2024. It feels weird saying 2024. I almost feel like I'm still in 2023 to a certain degree. But yes, we have a new design that we've been working on for a long time, and we get to share that with you today. And Talia has graciously agreed to be on here because she's the one who put in the majority of the hard work to make the new design what it is. So what we're going to do this afternoon is we are going to talk about this new design, and we're going to talk a little bit about design theory, why we make the certain choices that we do, why even talk about design in the first place, because after all, I think most people, when they see Science magazine, they don't necessarily always go straight to the way that it looks. They go to the way that the articles make them feel, or the content, the educational stuff, the theological stuff, the lifestyle stuff. We're very content focused on the magazine, but yet it's design that helps us to be able to communicate a lot of that. And I'm really excited to talk about how that happens and what that looks like. So let's quickly, I'm going to bring something up on the screen real quick. This is the transition that we have gone on the last couple of years. So the magazine to your left that you can see there is what the magazine looked like prior to 2018. I haven't gone back further than that because it's kind of almost looked the same for a long time. It's had some minor changes over the years, but many of you who know the magazine from way back will recognize that logo. That was kind of a fairly, I guess you could say, iconic logo for Signs of the Times. That very, block lettery kind of writing. And then in 2018, we radically departed from that design into what you can see in the middle. And that was done primarily by Talia's boss, Dora, who is actually sitting there right now with her daughter. So shout out to Dora and Chloe. Dora was the one who spearheaded the design, and you can actually see, I believe it's 2018 September 2018 that took place. And so that's kind of what the magazine has looked like by and large from September 2018 till December 2023. This is the final issue that most of you will recognize. This was done by Talia, and I guess the content kind of has taken a bit of an iterative evolution, I suppose you could say, but that's basically what it's looked like over the last 5 years. Which brings us to 2024. Now, one thing you may notice in the new design is that it's much more of a gradual change compared to, I suppose, prior to 2018 to 2018. Like it was a pretty significant jump from the old design to the middle design. But there's actually a lot more going on beneath the surface. Now, I feel like I've kind of prattled on for long enough. So I'm going to throw this to Talia a little bit. And Zanita, obviously, feel free to jump in if you have any questions or thoughts. But Talia, let's talk about design. What is it about design that is so important to a physical magazine like Science of the Times? Why is it important that we should care about design? Because I would suspect that most of our readers probably don't give it much of a second thought. They just kind of take it for granted, whether something looks good or bad, but they don't really think about it too much.
Well, hi everyone. I think design enhances the viewer's experience in reading, from reading the content. They want it to flow, and I think design helps it in a way so they can understand the story or the article better. I think it creates an experience, and I think design's around us everywhere, and I think it's very important, not just with a magazine, but with anything we do. Like, you see it, it's very important everywhere. So I think it serves a visual language, and it like for me, like design it tells a story. It helps bring out the story, helps bring out what the writer is trying to tell. So that was my aim and what I want to achieve in this redesign. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. I will just part of this is like to help you, the viewer, kind of understand our process and why we do things a certain way. And I will admit, it's a real collaborative experience that Talia and I have. Well, Jared and Zanita and myself, all of us with Talia, because oftentimes we'll sit down with an article and we'll have a lot of words, and Zanita and Jared and I, we spend a lot of time crafting those words. If we're working with an author, sometimes we have to go back and forth of like, making suggestions for changes or, doing things a different way. And then we have to copy edit those words. And so like when I sit down for Talia to design what those words look like in terms of pictures, illustrations, sometimes those articles take on a really different kind of, I guess, aspect, right? Because sometimes what's in my head is not what's in Talia's head. And sometimes Talia can help me see things in a different way. And that's what, really good design allows us to do. Sometimes I'll read an article after Talia's designed it, and I'll go, oh, wow, I never realized the visual connection with themes and the ideas. It's really quite profound sometimes. And sometimes it doesn't work and we have to collaborate back and forth. And that's also an interesting experience as well. Sometimes I'm not Talia's favorite person in the world.
No. But I'm not a writer, I'm a designer. Well, I'd like to think I'm a good one, and I think I achieve what I'm supposed to do and what I get paid for. But as I said, I'm not a writer. So when I am designing these articles, I'd like to think, okay, how would I help if someone's like me that reads? Like, how can I break it up and create visuals to it, pictures, so they can understand it more? And that's where I think it's important to in a magazine, and the flow of it, so it's easy for readers, easy for me. If I can understand it, then anyone can understand it. That's how I like to look at it when I'm designing the magazine.
Yeah,
I think that's important how you said, like, even the idea of like breaking things apart, because I think some people are like, oh, they think design and like just put a picture there and just put like a cool font there, and that's like a magazine designed. But it's the same as like how we judge a book by a cover. We also judge things like articles by their design, like by the images that we use and by the fonts and the layout. Like, we do the same thing. And so it can kind of be like, as a writer, if you do an article and pour all that time into it and then have like poor design that doesn't really match, it can kind of feel like you're cheated a bit. It's like, oh, like no one's gonna read it now because of this, or like it actually really, like I've had that experience where, not from you, Talia, but just from another publication, where I felt like the design didn't match the actual article, and it was like really disappointing for me, because it's like we do judge things by their appearance, and design is super important. Yeah,
I think whether we like it or not, I think we would rather pick up something that's more visually appealing than something that's plain. But yeah,
otherwise we just send everyone a Word document of 8 articles.
I mean, if we did that with Science Magazine, we'd save so much money, but I don't think the users would be very good. Yeah. Well, I thought what we could do is spend a little bit of time in the magazine itself, not just the cover, because obviously there's much more that goes into a redesign than just choosing a couple of different fonts. Do you want to just quickly talk us through, Talia? And, you know, some of these might be good examples. I've just picked them at random from the January-February issue, which you should be able to pick up and read very, very soon. At the time of recording, I think it's on its way in the mail, but you can also go online and subscribe digitally through Issue. So if you want to see what the magazine looks like right now, all you need to do is go online to sciencethetimes.org.au. And you can click subscribe, and to get a single issue is $2. So it's literally less than a cup of coffee. And you can see everything in this magazine digitally. So if you want to just tell me, Talia, go through different aspects. We'll just go through some of the different slides that I've prepared, the sort of like excerpts from this magazine. And if you just want to talk us through sort of why you made some of the decisions, like, for instance, I'm just looking at these 2 fonts right here. We've got a blocky font. We've got like a more ornate looking font. We've got a line there. I'm seeing lots of bokeh from blurry camera. It's very different to what we would have done previously. So tell me when you want me to change slides, and we can just kind of go from there. I think that might be good.
Well, looking at this one, I started off with, before creating this cover page, obviously, we had to come up with fonts. So I chose fonts that I think could work well in pairing with each other or standing on its own. I also looked at how long it could last and how relevant the fonts and the design that I'm achieving could go on for many years until it's time for a new refresh. And I also I'm very grateful that Jessie, Zanita, and I all have the same style when it comes to aesthetics. So when I first met them, they all were minimalist like me, and I'm like, this is gonna be awesome, like this is gonna be great to work with them, and they'll understand my designs. And so I chose something that's clean, something that's easy to read, something easy for the viewers to get straight to the point. The images, you'll see a lot of the images I use are very they don't look staged. I don't really I'm not a fan of staged images. I like images with for example, a face. Like, I like the story of how a face is trying to convey, and I want it to capture the audience. I like how the Bible's a subject, but it also looks pretty. And sometimes you just also see an image and you're like, I think that's really nice. And you just, sometimes there's not really a meaning behind it, but also there is. And I like simple, I like clean, I like candid. So yeah, you can go to the next one.
Yeah, okay. I just want to also touch on something that was part of our discussion. This, I think, was brought up by Jared. When it comes to engaging with a magazine, men and women tend to like different things a lot of the time. And I think you did a really good job, but I know it was a bit tricky trying to balance out a magazine that was aesthetically beautiful, but also not too feminine, not too masculine or too utilitarian, Was there some considerations in that kind of aspect of it?
In a sense, like when I was researching how I should go on about creating, like what fonts to use, what images, things like that. I look at trends, and trends I don't think it's based on one gender or age group. I think it's what you see. So I kind of went along with that, and as a designer myself, I'd like to think I keep up with the trends and what's out there. And for example, when I was working off Dora's template from 2018, as we're both different designers, I stuck with her guidelines, but also added my style, and also was seeing, okay, what's trending this year and how can I make it somewhat relevant, but that makes it somewhat difficult as you still have to stick to the guidelines. So this time I tried to see, okay, what's going to be relevant for ongoing, and just trends. It's like I just wanted to, like, it was a lot of research involved, but also what I thought was easy for me to and everyone here to achieve.
And I guess as well, you don't want to kind of pick something that's like really trending like right now, but it's going to be out of fashion in like 3 months' time.
Like grains and gradients.
Oh, you had to go there, didn't you? Okay, all right. Okay, well, I should address this. Okay, fine. I really like gradients, and when we were talking about the design, I was like, oh, can we incorporate some different gradients into the thing? You actually, if you've seen any of our social media stuff, you've probably seen a few of the gradients that I created. And Talia was like, oh, yeah, gradients are pretty, but they're going to go out of fashion. I'm like, no, they're not. They're like flared jeans. And I don't know, they're never going to go out of fashion. But you are absolutely right. I can even see it now. They're going out of fashion. Like, even
I think it's okay to use gradients and grain, but not make it your whole design or
make it my whole personality.
Yeah. But I think it's okay to incorporate in little ways.
Yeah.
Hey Talia, we've spoken a little bit about how you've like chosen fonts and like photography style and colors. Why is it important for like a magazine to have like a brand or a consistent style? Like, why can't they just change from one to the next?
I think it's important as people can recognize us. Like, it's a brand for us. It's like when someone sees this, it's like, oh, this is Signs. I think that's why it's important. That's why everyone has each brand, each clothing line, each artist. Everyone has their own style, and I think that makes it unique and stand out from everyone else. And I think, yeah, I think that's my answer.
Nice.
Cool. Anything in here that you want to speak to, Talia? This image?
It's a pretty picture, but
it is a pretty picture. I picked these images. I didn't scream them past Talia. She didn't supply them to me. I'm just putting her on the spot right here. So it's my fault if she has nothing to say. This one was because this is a historical one, but it's also about a specific place in Australia, right?
Mm-hmm. I was just gonna say how the design of covers have changed, because thought I'd bring it up. If you readers know that our old magazines are usually full 2-page spreads, and I thought sometimes articles can be a bit more lengthy, and sometimes cuts us as creatives to add image or make something easy for readers or enjoyable. So I added ways that it could still look really nice, and using like a third of the page, and you'll see a lot of this in the new design, and a lot more white space. And this is one of these articles, and you'll see that I've used more design in it, and it makes it enjoyable to read. Because I personally like an article with images and quotes and things that break it up, and this is one way that we have achieved this. So that's what I can say about this. That's the thing that stands out to me.
And the other thing that it allows us to do as well, right, is to have full page images on some of our articles, whereas before we didn't really do that quite so much. Because, like, I mean, if you've ever picked up a science magazine before, you'll see it's pretty small, like in terms of its form factor. It's not like sorry, I'm just reaching over to grab Adventist Record, which is our other magazine, which is for the Adventist Church. By comparison, there's a lot of real estate on the page here by comparison. I think there's actually an example of that negative space. Oh, well, this is an example of our ADRA story, so the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, about what they're doing around our region. That's more of an iterative evolution. This is a column that we've only started doing the last sort of 12 months or so. I think, this is a great example of that negative space. As it's such a small form factor, being able to create that negative space is really cool. Breaking up the page, you can see that we're breaking up the page with not just an illustration, but with those quotes, which is what we've done in the past. We've kind of streamlined and simplified our quotes as well. They tended to be a bit, I don't know, overbearing is the right word, but they were a little bit more in your face before than they are now. Anything to add to that, Talia?
No, but actually, something that I've also considered when designing is not just the fonts or the image style. I also given rules for illustration, and we went for, because the magazine looks minimal and clean lines, you'll see a lot of this type of illustration styles in it, and you'll see Zanita and Jesse using it in the social media as well. So I want, when designing as well, which is really important, because it's not just a magazine, we're also doing content online. So I want something that will flow to both and easy to work with both. And on social media, you have smaller space to create something that looks good. So I think we've achieved that. Follow us on Instagram, guys.
Yes. Signs of the Times on Instagram. It's a great place. Anita is the one who manages that mostly, and she does really great work on there. All right, what else have we got? I think I really just liked this particular article. The color cast. We actually did something interesting with the color cast. So as you can see, it's more just like paper, like just white, whereas this is almost beige, and it I think it really it aided the theme of the article, which is about social isolation and being alone and how to be more connected to people. I think it really conveyed that idea really well, using the just very stark black and whites and this sort of color cast over the overall article. So that was quite cool. Some things are more or less similar to what they were before. So we have some of our usual columns we've already seen make a difference, and this is our sanitarium health sort of tip column that we run. This is more of a gradual, I suppose, update. There's nothing too crazy in there. I don't know if there's anything else. Yeah, I think that was the last one, this particular image here. We've kept it very simple. We have changed the body font. We have changed but I almost wanted to like ask people if they could spot the difference between the body font that we had and the body font that we have now. Because I remember when we were talking about changing the body font, I took a piece of paper throughout the entire office and asked people which they preferred. And to be honest, most people really struggled to tell the difference between the two, and they couldn't tell me what the old one was and what the new one was. But I think this one works quite well with the other fonts that you've chosen as well. Yeah. We're almost out of time, unless you had something else to add to this, Talia. I did want to ask you one more question, or maybe one or two more questions. But is there anything else that you wanted to speak to, some of the decisions around what we've touched on so far?
A lot of the decisions I made, it was a lot of collaboration between Zanita, Jesse, and I. Whenever I did something or thought something would look good, I would send it to them and okay, we don't like this, we like this. So that really helped. And when designing something, it was really important for me to make sure that Jesse and Zanita could use it, could follow the guidelines. So, and also if I'm not here on holiday or something, it's something that other designers could follow. That was my main thing, but also my other main thing was that it was relevant to today, and will be relevant for a while, and also it looked clean. The main thing is our message and what we want to share out there, and I think this was a great way to do it. It's simple, it's aesthetically pleasing, and I think it tells the story well.
I think so too. And look, the reality is we'll get 5 years down the track. What is that going to be? 2029, maybe 2020, 2030. I don't even want to think about that right now, but the day will come when this, as beautiful as it is, might be out of fashion. But I think until then, it's still going to serve a really good purpose. And I think that even in 5 years' time, I don't think anybody's going to pick up this magazine and think it's out of fashion. I think it's really a really good blend of timelessness and current trends. So you can pat yourself on the back, Talia. Job well done.
I think everyone contributed well, and thank you for giving me the input, and I visualized it the best I can. So I hope you readers will enjoy it as well.
I'm going to take us back to slide number 1, but I just want to ask one more question of you, Talia, before we go, because there might be some people watching this live stream who are, maybe aspirational designers themselves, and they want to, this is a great opportunity to pick the brain of somebody who's doing this every day, right? This is your job, and you're really good at it. So if you were sitting down with somebody who said, look, I want to figure out how to design well, I want to figure out how to get better, all that sort of stuff, what do you think is the thing that you would tell them to start with to get better as a designer, or to grow? Or maybe there's a couple things, maybe it's not just one.
There's so many things. Get a pen and paper, guys. No, I think this is what I do. I usually like to talk a lot at work, but when I'm quiet, it's because I'm listening to podcasts or listening to videos that inspire me about design. I follow a lot of graphic designers online. I like to keep up with trends. I like to look up what's trending on Behance, which is kind of like where designers put their work. Pinterest. I follow a lot of things on Instagram about design. I think also not just sticking to one trend. I like to play with a lot of things. I like to do different designs for different clients, and I feel like working at Adventist Media has really pushed me to do that, and I think it's a great way for me to, oh yeah, I enjoy this, I like this, this didn't work out, this works, and I think surrounding yourself with creatives. I'm very lucky I work with creatives, and my uni friends that I hang out with most of my time outside of work, we're all creatives, and we just feed into each other, or we send each other things that we think one of them would appreciate. It sounds like I have no life, just like design, but I guess as writers or would read books, and me, I look at pictures and colors. No, but yeah, and as a designer, I think it's an automatic routine for me to just, when I'm outside, I look at advertising, I look at marketing, and design's around you. And I think don't limit yourself, learn as much things as you can. Design's always changing, and don't be afraid of AI, because AI is your friend. It's my best friend, especially when it comes to writing. So yeah.
I love that. I think as a designer and as a creative, kind of like you said, you start to just see design everywhere and in everything. But I guess speaking into the other creatives out there and the other designers, what goes on in your mind when you're designing? Like, are there certain like do's and don'ts that you kind of follow?
So in my head, I'll be like, what would Jessie do? Don't do that.
Are there like there's probably heaps, but are there like a certain few that you can think of?
I think at first, as a designer, I always, when I first got into the industry, I said, oh, but this looks pretty. Like, I have to, like, it's my way or no way. But coming here, I've been humbled. And it's like, actually, Talia, the message and the text that we're trying to achieve is, as important as design. So I've had, like, when I'm designing something, I always look at, okay, what's the most important message here? What needs to stand out, and then I work around that. So, for example, an article, it will be the title that I think of first, or I'll look at an image and be like, okay, this image represents the title well, and then I'll work around that. Okay, what font style will work with the image I'm working with? So, for example, here, I'm like, okay, these images, what fonts can work well in this? And would I use a cursive font? Would I use all sans serif or all serif? And it's just a process of elimination, and it's just, yeah. But for me, it's the key message, the main thing that I want to focus first. And yeah, I guess when you're, it depends in what design you're doing. Like if you're a web designer, of course, you have other things that it's more important than the other. And yeah. My thought process, it doesn't make sense to me, but sometimes it works.
I think like a lot of this stuff, it's difficult to put in words, because after you've done it for so long, a lot of it becomes instinctual, I would imagine.
And you just kind of, I also feel like design is, you can be taught it, but not really like yeah. There's yeah. I feel like you have it or you don't. But that's bad advice.
I think Talia's talking about me again.
No, never. Jessie's actually really good.
Well, hey, I've enjoyed this time that we've had together, guys. Thank you very much for sharing, Talia. This is just the beginning for the new redesign. We've just shared what we've done so far, but to be perfectly honest with you guys, we've shown you January, February, but March is done and we're staring down April. That's just the way that our work looks like in this neck of the woods. So we're looking to the future of where we can take this new design philosophy, this design approach, and plumb new depths and reach new heights and all that sort of stuff. So looking forward to what the future looks like, Talia, with this awesome new design. And yeah, can't wait to see what happens next. So yeah, thank you very much for your time and your talents, and Zanita as well, fellow collaborators all together on this amazing project. Yeah, and thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time, I guess.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.